guys got to hear the speakers and shit too.
Oh,
I'm not gonna.
Please.
It's gonna fuck you. It's gonna fuck you up. No, it's gonna fuck you up.
All right, we're here at Sterling Sound Studios with Chris. Come on, we doing the name to name thing.
But you just gonna throw it at me? Like, I was practicing the shit outside.
You can't pronounce your last name.
I was saying Gehringer and Gehringer. I don't know.
Gehringer.
I don't want to fuck it up.
The real way is
Gehringer.
But the American way, what everybody says here, is Gehringer.
Gehringer.
So that's what we got.
He put me on the spot because he just fuck it up outside too. See how you put me on the spot?
Dude, I do that all the time. That's cool.
I got to keep
I had to do like a little promo piece for someone 2 days ago, and her name is Pris Elias. But it's like there's a player on the New Jersey Devils called it's same spelling, Elias. So I was like, is it Elias? Or what? She's like, you don't know my name, and I'm like, been working with a girl for months. So all good.
You got to rehearse the name sometimes.
Yeah, I'm in this thing where I have to rehearse the name because I keep messing up people's names. So I just throw it to him sometimes. so I don't do it anymore.
I'm like, what? Or whatever.
So how long have you been in this place?
Sterling Sound has been here for 16 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I read that somewhere.
Most of us have been here for 14 years. There was a transfer from when we were uptown at 57th Street and Broadway.
Yeah.
From the old facility into the new facility. We built it in stages and moved everybody down.
Okay. I think this studio is like top 5 the best studios in the world.
Yeah, this is a sick studio.
I've
been to a couple studios. Like, there's some good studios, but the sound in this room, like when I walk in, I automatically know. Like, it's silent.
I'm gonna fuck you up when I play this music. Seriously, you're gonna leave here and you're gonna say, "Damn!" And no matter, it doesn't matter what I work on, it sounds sick in here. The room is like as big a part as the process as the EQs, the gear, everything.
Definitely.
You know, the room makes
the sound.
Yeah, it makes me able to.
Is that carpet on the ceiling?
It's just all fabric.
All fabric. Yeah. Here's one thing about studio. There's no straight line in this room, right? Nothing's parallel. Line. Nothing has a straight line in this room. Like, it may seem like it, but everything has a curve.
No, if you look at everything's angled. And the front half of the room is a dead batted material, and the back half is slatted material. Like, if you put your hand against the wall, you'll see like slats. You'll feel them.
And that's not even the wall, right? There's like another wall behind that wall.
Yeah, the room is actually a floating box that sits next to the lounge and on springs. That's why when you came in here, you came up a ramp because the rooms are elevated because they're on springs. And the only place the room touches anything besides the floor and the springs is that black foam strip around the door. The door is framed to the lounge. So if you move, there was a huge earthquake and this room moved this way, the door would stay there against the lounge.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so the room just sits right next to it. The air conditioning intakes are those big slats up there, and the return is up there. So you hear no vent noise, you hear nothing. The only thing he's hearing is the fan on this Mac down here. That's it. And you're breathing. Seriously.
Wait, so when you guys record in here, the vocals?
I don't think
there's no recording. This is just.
Oh no.
There's 3 steps: recording, which is microphones, booths, performing.
Okay.
Mixing, which is the large consoles, sit with a producer, pick what you want to do to each channel, the production of the song, and then mastering is the final step where we take the mixed songs and we work on them, we tweak them, we EQ them, limit them, compress them to sound as good as they can sound. And when you're doing an album, put everything together to make the album sound linear and amazing.
Because this is my first mastering studio that I've ever been to. I've never been to a mastering studio before.
You kind of hit the top, so you're not. This is I work here, and this facility is the
top.
It's
I already
top.
know, like
I've been there. There are a few recording studios that I've been to that even like parallel this place.
I've never been to a record. Well, I've been to Chungking. I've been to other places like that, but it doesn't sound like this.
No, there was a lot of time effort and work put into this room.
Into these rooms. Time in if you want to work.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about you, Chris. How long have you been a mastering engineer?
I've been mastering since 1985.
Okay. Do you remember the first record you ever mastered?
I actually remember the first record that I actually cut. Back in the day, we cut vinyl, and the first project I did on my own was this. It's like a mandolin player, Stefan Grappelli, or a violin player. I forget. I cut one side of a disc. It was a recut for a pressing plant. Mm-hmm. That was the first thing I ever did, and it was like I set the tape up, I set the EQ up, I did the transfer. That was the first thing. The first record I ever got my name on was Adrenaline OD. Humongous Fungus Among Us was the name of the album. It's the first credit I ever got. I have the record. Actually, it was like a punk band from Jersey. Mm-hmm. I went out and got like 5 copies. I gave one to my grandmother. I gave one to my parents. I was like, this is my first thing. Yeah. And my grandmother died years later, and I went to her house, and the record was just like wrapped up in something, never opened. Not like I really expected her to listen to a punk record, but
that's crazy.
It was funny.
That's great. So was that at True Tone Records?
That was at True Tone Records.
Can you tell me a little bit about True Tone Records and how'd you get there? And
so I first started in live sound. I went to the Institute of Audio Research. I wound up working at Green Street Recording, helping being a full general assistant.
Okay.
Kind of got burned out from that, doing like 70, 80 hours a week. Was only getting paid $125. So I kind of quit the business for a minute, was like, I'm going to go back to college. I'm going to try something different. I was taking classes in mechanical engineering, working in a liquor store, saw an ad in the paper for True Tone Records mastering studio, which was in Jersey, close to where I lived, needed an assistant. And I was like, maybe I should try that. I really think maybe I should try the music business once again. I couldn't get it out of my system.
Yeah.
So I went there, and for a year and a half, I was an assistant there. And that's where I cut that Stefan Grappelli side and did the Adrenaline OD record. They taught me a lot there, but it was like a husband and wife run studio in a super small town in Jersey, and it just made me want, to be in the business more. So I left there and went to Frankfurt Wayne Mastering.
What was the transition like from both companies?
From True Tone to Frankfurt Wayne.
Yeah.
True Tone was like literally in this 2-street town in Jersey, and Frankfurt Wayne was on 52nd and Broadway in the 53rd and Broadway Ed Sullivan Theater building. Okay. So it was like, birds chirping, working on some projects, to being in the city. Plus, I was an assistant to Herb Powers Jr. and Tom Coyne at Frankfurt Wayne, and those guys were kind of like well-known engineers with plenty of gold records under their belt.
Wow.
So it was a huge difference. It was like all of a sudden I was like working on like projects that were like, being played on the radio, in clubs. People knew who they were, and it was New York.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like all of a sudden everything I was dreaming about started coming true.
Did you instantly like pull to mastering? Did you really love
I love mastering? Sound. Like, I don't give a shit what the music is. I really don't. I work on 75% of my work is international, and I don't know what they're saying, but if the stuff, like if the music is right and the vocals are right,
yeah,
and it sounds right, that's all I care about. I really I listen to so much music that it doesn't,
yeah,
there's nothing like, oh, I only want to do this, I only want to
Have you mastered like movies in here? Or have you done like
soundtracks?
Yeah. Not even soundtracks, like gunshots and like.
No, that's really like Foley. We really don't do that. Foley but stuff. I've done there are soundtracks, like I just did "Fault in Our Stars," and that's all the pop songs coming out of that. Charlie XCX and all that stuff. But there are, the themes to movies too, like the actual music that's played, and I've done that stuff too. It's a lot of strings and whatever.
There's a lot of money in that, soundtracks to songs. To movies, because
it's a huge launch today.
It's ridiculous.
Did you see the recent? It was a Disney, not a Disney.
Frozen.
My
16-year-old heavy metal son thinks the Frozen soundtrack is amazing. I'm like, really? He's like, oh, the one song. He's got a girlfriend, so I think he's like all like that whatever song, Frozen. Maybe it is.
Yeah, when she's at the door.
Wow. People are like raving about that
it's
song.
It's all over the internet because it's like it went viral. They dubbed it a lot, but it's hilarious. But I just watched it the other night with my stepson, but it was cool.
I gotta check that now.
No, people like
Frozen.
Nah.
I haven't seen it either.
I haven't seen it either. On the movie, they have the words with the bouncing ball, and you can sing along.
Oh, that's old Disney style.
Yeah, they're taking it back. It's really cool. But
probably check that out.
Yeah, a lot of the soundtracks for a lot of movies now, like they're putting out a lot of bucks for those. Because I forget
they always been
the
putting out
producer's
bucks.
name. What's his name? I don't want to say the wrong name, but he did a commercial, the soccer commercial, and he put a Disney twist on it.
Okay.
Do you remember? You don't remember?
No idea.
Around the World Cup.
No clue.
It's gonna
the Nike one.
Yeah,
with the cartoon.
Yeah, it wasn't cartoon. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna come back.
right.
To it.
Len, you got a question?
Nice. Yeah. Did you ever go into making your own music, or was it all just like engineering, mastering?
When I was like young, I really wanted to be a musician, and I didn't have like, as my friends got better, I didn't get better, and I started hanging around with better musicians, and I was playing bass with some guys, like trying to get a band together, and this other guy who could play drums, bass, guitar came in, and he got involved, and I was out. But I started doing sound and helping people set up, and that kind of worked for me. Like first time I did sound at a club, a friend of mine was playing, and this guy that I knew from like working in a supermarket was at the soundboard, and I was like, "You can do that?" And he's like, "No, I just stand here. They make sure, like, they set it up and they make sure, if it feeds back, I just pull it down or whatever." And I was like, "Oh, I could do that. Give me a shot at that." And he's like, "I don't even want to do this. Here, you do it." So I started doing sound for these guys, and it just took off from there. Like It was like it was a risk and a shot that I took, and I liked it. It was cool.
Nice.
Live
awesome.
sounds cool because it's kind of like as it's going, you can different songs, you can kind of mess with stuff, and when someone sounds amazing live, I like that too. That's like big.
Yeah.
That's like big, Yeah.
Awesome.
How many, like recently, because the auto tune is like is a big thing now. It started a long time ago.
Well, it's dying out little bit by little.
It's dying down slowly,
but it's still there though.
But a lot of male artists are using it now, because Young Thug.
Everybody using it.
It's definitely it's a timestamp gimmick. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like whatever this is, 2000 and teens. Like, it's definitely like something that people are gonna look back and say, "Oh yeah, auto tune was
right." So what my question is, when you're mastering these songs, does it ever affect the auto tune, like how they actually sound, or do you make it sound even better?
I try and just go for the overall sound. I can't really because most people give me stereo files. Mm-hmm. I can't really get in and work on individual tracks. Some guys give me stems. Actually, the guy in the other room I was just joking with, he had a stem mix. Okay. And that's maybe 8 different stereo tracks of stuff. And you can adjust things, vocal level, or maybe drums or whatever, a lead instrument or something, backgrounds. But we don't really get into it to adjust auto tune or anything like that.
Okay.
That should already be set, basically.
Yeah, they don't want to leave anything like that open. I don't even want to touch anything like that, honestly. Because it's guys are tuning stuff right and wrong, and it's to make an effect. So yeah.
So you're usually the last person to touch a record.
Definitely
really?
The last person. Yeah.
Does it ever make you nervous to send it out? I don't think they're gonna like this.
So here's the deal with mastering. We're we work with it the least amount of time. We get the least amount of credit, but we get the most pressure, because when it leaves here, it's going to iTunes or duplicating plant, and it gets the emails, the pressure, all of a sudden, from when guys start tracking, the head of the label doesn't really give a shit. He's not really getting involved. When we get down to this point, everybody at the company on a big release is what's up? Jeremiah, right now I'm doing his album, and wow. My assistant is in his room, going through every file, making sure everything is right. Triple checking everything that we just worked on for the last 3 days, because they are sweating. It's release time today. It was actually yesterday, and now it's today. So,
okay.
Yeah, so
crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of last minute pressure, and
Do you ever like not get nervous?
When I work on something and I really like the way it sounds, I never think about it like, oh man,
it's like your baby.
Yeah, this is like delivering a baby. I joke because when artists come in here and like we put together the album and everything's finished and handed to them, it's like, oh, that's my baby,
right? Like take care of
it's
that.
all these months of doing stuff and getting to here, like, okay, we're done. Like, here's your baby, go home. Yeah, But as far as like nervous and stuff, like. It's me and my manager joke a lot. Like I'll work on something and be like, I don't know if I just don't know if they're gonna like this, whatever. And he's like, they just sent a letter. You're amazing. They love it. Blah blah blah. And then there's other stuff. I had this demo track that I was play for people, like because it sounded so amazing, and it was something that the guys. I worked on it 3 times. They're like, we're gonna go somewhere else. We don't like it. And I was like, this is like the most fucking amazing record I've ever worked on. Don't tell me that. Like I fucking love this thing. Like and. A year after they went somewhere else, I still played it for people. Like, check this shit out, and they didn't even like what I did.
When they remastered it, did it sound better?
I don't know. I never heard it again. But I never heard of them or it again. Oh. It was like some guys from Norway. The shit was unbelievable.
Nice.
Yeah, like it was beautiful. It had like depth and like space. Like it was everything you ever wanted to hear in a record in this room.
What genre was it?
Do you still have
like electronic? No, I took it out of my system.
We need to get a hold of this.
Hell yeah.
I know. I kind of just want to make a CD just to be like, check this out. I didn't work on it, but it's fucking great.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So let's go back. How did you get to Sterling now?
So I worked at True Tone for a year and a half. Got the bug to really push forward. I went to Frankfurt Wayne. I was there for 3.5 years. When I was there, I assisted Herb Powers and Tom Coyne for a good part of that, for almost the whole 3.5 years. But I started doing my own stuff. They were asked to go start Hit Factory mastering studios. Mm-hmm. So they went there and left me at Frankfurt Wayne. And they're like, we're going to come, just stay here. When we get a room ready for you, we're going to come get you. 3 months later, they were like, okay, come here. So then I went to Hit Factory. I did 11 years at Hit Factory.
Wow.
Went from the old building to Times Square, from Times Square to the new building. The one with the big elevator and the big Studio One. It's been in it like the elevator and Studio One have been in more videos and documentaries and whatever of any studio I've ever seen. Then Tom left Hit Factory after like 6 years, came here, started working at Sterling. I guess in 2000 they asked me to come over here, and I've been here since.
Wow.
So yeah, 14 years here now, 14 and a half.
All right. To date, what's your favorite project you've worked on so far?
Do you have a favorite?
No, you know what? That's true. Like people ask me all the time, and there's just so many like. I'm progressive. Like I love music, so there's so many things that I've worked on that I'm like, oh my God, this is like my favorite thing. And then within 6 months, there's something else that just like got me. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. There's some stuff that I've worked on, like like I said, it's international. You'll never hear of it or whatever, and it's just great. I've met great people over the years. But I can't like say there's one. I just can't like. It's
let me ask this one: what about the 36 Chambers?
That was like,
how was it working on that?
It was funny because when I got that, I started working on it, and then the label called me. And they're like, "Oh, some guys are going to come over. Some guys from the group are going to come over," and basically 3/4 of the Wu-Tang came over.
You remember who exactly?
It was RZA. Who else was it? Raekwon, Inspector Deck, definitely, and I think Meth. I think it was like those guys, maybe Ghostface, maybe one other guy I don't remember, and like a manager or something. And I was really into that. Like I was really into like the way they kind of created this sound field. With the kung fu skits and everything.
Was
it way back in the day? Like I was really into like alternative shit where people would do that stuff, like put these crazy interludes that like brought you somewhere or set something up. Like skits back then were like, yo, we're gonna get drunk, we're gonna do this, yo, man, let's go around the corner. Oh, look, there's Joey, like whatever. Okay, whatever. That's your personal thing, but like having like some kung fu shit, it just didn't make sense, you know, until the album was together, and you're like, okay, now I get it.
How clear did that album sound before they got to you?
It was fucked up. It was like, you know what, like in defense of hip hop back then, and even early R&B, like modern R&B,
they were recording it on
the budgets weren't there, the engineers weren't there. Like I fell into hip hop because I was assisting a guy who was the only guy doing hip hop. So I started doing hip hop. Like I treated hip hop like it was the new punk, like it was the new alternative music. Like rapping to a drum machine, like that was some crazy shit. It was like beats coming out of a little box, and guys were just like poetry. It wasn't even like the early shit wasn't even rapping. It was like a message. It was like some guy talking some real hardcore shit. Like where singing is kind of like, it's kind of like metaphorical, or like, you know, you have to think about it, or it's like, you know, it's melodic, it's whatever, where the early hip hop stuff was kind of like, this is the beat and I'm just going to say some hardcore shit. Right. And, you know, it was kind of, and it was the truth. It wasn't anything sugar-coated or metaphorical. And if it was even crazier. But, you know, so I started doing that, and, you know, I got into it.
I was just listening on, the last night on my way home from work, I was listening to a track on there, and it's in the beginning, I forget who he's going against, but Method Man, he's like torture, right? And they're going back and forth.
Oh yeah,
they're talking about how they would torture one another, and
I fucking take your nutsack, hit it with a spike bat.
Yeah, like it's just like crazy. Like, and I was like, when you mentioned the skits, I'm like, that was a wild ass skit before the song came.
Oh yeah,
so I was like, how was it coming across that? Did you hear that part? And like tweaking that and playing around with it. Like how many? Like, did you ever come across a track where you had to replay it a couple of times first before you even started to work on it?
Oh, always. I always play this stuff. I like to just feel it, listen to it, and whatever before I even start working on it. Okay, that's the first thing I do is just listen to it. A lot of times, like lyrics, they don't hit me right away if I'm getting very technical. But when the lyrics do catch me, then I kind of get lost sometimes till like, you know, like, oh damn, like, you know.
Okay, cool.
What's it like working with other engineers and producers like Young Guru or 40, stuff like that? Like, what's it like interacting with them?
It's cool. You know, you build relationships and you kind of figure out, like I figure out what they want at the end of the day. Like they have this creative thing that you can't even measure, and then they bring me stuff and say, okay, here, make this sound better, you know, or do this or do that. So you kind of have to read people, figure out what they want, you know, kind of like do my thing at the same time, because I know this room and I know the sound that I want to give them, you know, but you kind of have to like vibe off of them and be like, all right, you know, I'm lucky to be able to say though, like, do it this way, it sounds better this way or whatever.
Okay. And then taking your advice and going with it.
Yeah, but I want to give everybody their own sound. I just want to add to their sound. I want to make their sound, you know, more developed, or kind of, if they're not 100% there, I want to be able to bring them to 100% there. Sure. You know, I'm not trying to like produce or whatever. You know, I'm just turning the knob till it sounds better, but I want to make them leave saying, okay, the shit is right now. It's good. Definitely.
All right, being an engineer, what are some like pet peeves or issues you have with other artists working on projects?
The biggest thing right now in the business is this loudness war shit. Like,
you're still like segueing to my question.
All right, yeah. So the loudness war shit is just stupid.
Yeah.
Like, the volume goes 1 to 10 on every knob. So, like, who gives a shit if you got to turn it up?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, being the loudest record, I don't know any dude, and I keep joking, I'm gonna go to like some trophy shop and get some big ass like car show trophy, like floor to ceiling shit, and have it say loudest record ever, and leave it in here, so people are like, oh, okay, good, I don't have to fuck with you anymore, I trust you, because everybody's with this loudness shit. Like, if it's not loud, it's not good. But people don't realize, like, when I play you stuff, I'm gonna play you stuff that has dynamics, and that's what fucks with people. That's what gives you goosebumps and makes you leave a place or hear music and go, damn. Image, depth of field, dynamics, sound field. Like when you're in a place and the music is like, when the music is talking to you, like the whole thing is talking to your body, that's what counts, not loudness. And loudness just like kind of crushes stuff, and it's just dumb. It doesn't even make sense.
Can't follow.
It doesn't make sense, and people are like so caught up in that shit.
Why do you think, like the new EDM producers, why do you think they mix so loud to begin with?
It's so funny. Like I'm getting into EDM because it's the new shit, and everybody's like, oh man, try and get on this EDM shit. I want to get in this. These guys just mix and do everything themselves. They do everything in a box. They make it screaming loud. You can't even beg them to master. Like they don't. They do it their way. But what they don't understand is that, like, some of the stuff that you hear, if it's like super dynamic in the club or at like a performance, that's what's gonna mess people up.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like when the bass and the top end, everything is. Yeah, that's what people react to. Like good sound.
Like the new Skrillex is like really, like if you look at Skrillex's first project and this new one, the dynamics in there are just totally different.
Yeah, well, I worked on the banger. I mastered the Bangarang EP.
Oh yeah.
And some of that shit was just too loud too. No disrespect to Skrillex, like he's the shit.
Yeah.
Like his stuff is ridiculous. And I don't even really know if he needs mastering. Like I think his shit is right, but like there comes a point where everybody's just getting too loud. They're just pushing everything too hard, and there's no need for it. Like I said, when I play you stuff here, you're gonna think about the shit I play you because it's gonna sound good, and not just like, oh yeah, that's a hot track. Like forget the hot track. You're gonna feel the music, and that's what I'm trying to do when I work.
And I don't. When I hear a song, I don't hear the lyrics first. I hear the beat in the music. So I'm not. I don't really know what's being said, because I just want to know if can I bob my head to it, can I tap my foot, like can I move to the music, and then later on I listen to the song 3 or 4 times. Now I'm learning the words or whatever the case is. But I gotta, if it don't have a nice beat, like we take submissions weekly.
Yeah,
if the beat doesn't start off right before the drop, next. Like if I can't get into it right away, I don't want to hear it no more. I just tune out.
Yeah.
So I need to leave here with the.
Can I ask you about a couple records that you've done? Like Main Source, Breaking Atoms.
That is one of my favorite fucking records.
How was it working on that album?
It was cool. That was really. I remember that. Like, I remember that album. That album like made me a fan. That album was one of those albums for me that was like, oh, I like what I do. I like working on shit like this.
Yeah.
Large Professor was.
Did he give you any flack or like?
No, he loved what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just right off bat.
Yeah, because I was into it, man. That album I was into from the gate.
Wow. Crazy. All the Rihanna stuff. What about that stuff?
Yeah, all of it. Like that's one of the things that I'm like, career wise, like, I'm always worried, like, am I gonna do the next album? Am I gonna do the next album? And you know what? Even if I don't, it's like that's been like a career highlight for me, doing all that stuff. Like, I just heard Nobody's Business driving on Monday, and I had to Shazam that shit because I forgot I did that shit. And I was like, did he do something? Holy shit, they did it with Howie. I love this record. What the fuck? It's so good. And then I was like, oh yeah, I did that shit.
Nice.
Yeah.
You do so many records you can't even remember. Like
I know. I Shazam so much shit I do, and I'm like, oh yeah, I did this shit.
I fucking love Shazam.
Because a lot of times I work on a record and it may not be out for like, like if it's a single, I work on it and it comes out pretty soon. If it's like an album track, a second single or whatever, it might be like 6 months. It might be a year with some artists. I did One Republic album. Yeah. Those guys are still playing shit off that record. Yeah. It's a year and a half later. They're still playing shit off that album. Rihanna, they're still playing stuff off. You know what I'm saying?
It should be that way because artists are releasing albums like once every couple months now. So it's like, what are you doing? I've seen like Kendrick, who tours off the whole album. It's been like 2 years already.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that. What can you tell me about Fredro Starr? Do you remember anything about?
That was a long time ago. I mean, that was a cool point. That was like the '90s when I was working with them. They were cool.
Yeah,
they were cool.
Fucking wild guy, man.
Yeah,
yeah.
He just did an interview with the Breakfast Club on Power 105 and.
Crazy. We're not gonna talk about that.
Terrible.
No, you know it's funny. Like when I think about that '90s stuff, like I was thinking, like I saw something. There's a show called Cutthroat Kitchen, and one of the judges was married to Heavy D.
Oh wow!
And I was like, damn, remember those days? Like, you know,
Heavy D from where we from?
Yeah, we're from Heavy D.
Oh yeah. So Diddy, all those guys up there.
All those, yeah.
Yeah.
Cram, you got any more artist questions?
Oh,
Lenny?
Yeah, throughout all the projects you've done so far, what's been the most memorable?
That's kind of like asking the favorite record.
No, there's a lot of stuff. Like, you know, just about every Rihanna record that I do is kind of like all-nighters because it's like kind of do it and get it out. God, there's this girl, Estero from Toronto that I worked with that I just like, she was here for like 2 days and amazing to work with. Indy Ari comes in. We always have a good time. Madonna's been here.
Yeah.
You know?
What's it like with Madonna?
Madonna? Dude, mad respect for Madonna. Like, she, like, people like make fun of her now, but she's going to come with something new and I guarantee it's the shit.
Nice.
Yeah. She's the queen, man. She's the Michael Jackson of pop music, you know? Like she's, you know, I don't know, man.
Hell yeah.
She might be like the last pop legend.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't know who after her. That's the problem. Like, you know, people talk about artists and like Rihanna she's like a living legend right now.
Yeah.
And she hasn't done anything in a couple of years, but really think about who else, you know, there's no more there's no Who, Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones, you know, Elvis Presley, if you want to go back. Like, there's nobody like that. Like, Mariah. Like, where's Mariah?
Yeah.
You know, today's world, you have to constantly be in people's faces to be relevant. The new generation, I think with a lot of stuff, the new generation is just so on to the next so fast.
Yeah. But I think if you make something that's very memorable, you can go away. You can go.
Oh
away.
yeah,
you can come back and people will be checking for you.
No, that's true. But I just think like a lot of artists today are just like their career-wise, the way they're marketed by the labels. There's there's nothing long term. Like you want to like Taylor Swift. She could be like, you know, one of the new big artists.
Yeah,
you know, because she's kind of flipping her game right now, doing, you know, the pop stuff, and I think the crowd will go with her. You know.
Well, she has a cult following.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that new. I heard that new song. I heard that new song. I was like, that thing's not going to do anything. And like 2 days later, I fucking woke up in the morning. The shit was in my head, and I was like, how fucked up is it that I got a Taylor Swift song going through my head? But now, I think that single's going to go big now. I really do. It's just stupidly catchy.
Man, it's sad.
It's the beat. It's everything. I know, but you know.
No, I'm straight with that one. 'Cause I already asked about the Wu-Tang question.
Oh, okay.
Those guys are memorable. I did a lot of hours with those guys. Cash Money guys, I spent like a long time with, you know.
What's up? You did the Magna Carta album, right?
Yeah. That was a good session.
That came out pretty quick.
Yeah.
Like
I only had like a date. I mean, we left here at like I think 4:35 in the morning on a Sunday morning.
Wow.
They went and got Jay. They woke him up, brought him in here to listen to everything when we were done. You know, he checked it out, and then we were done.
What was the first reaction when you heard like the album from beginning to end? Because I know did you listen to the whole thing first, and then
they started feeding me tracks. Like all the mixers were here. Mike Dean was here. Demo, Duro, all those dudes were here.
Okay.
And, you know, they were giving me tracks, and the first track I put up was the Justin track.
Oh, yeah.
So it was kind of like, oh, shit, this is going to be good. Like, seriously, like, I was like, all right, this is going to be good, you know?
Yeah.
That's dope. Would you ever come, like, with, like, hearing songs first before they're released? You ever have a, like, an inside thing going on? Like I bet you
all the time, all the time. Like if I with my manager, my assistant, every time I get something good, I'm like, okay, check this out. Like you kind of have like sometimes a song like is so annoying, or you're like, oh my god, this is just like holy shit, and you know it's gonna be like huge. Like it's so gimmicky or whatever, you know. Like what's that thing I did? Chicken noodle soup with a soda on the side.
You like, did that record?
Yeah. You know, like all these like,
yo, that's Jersey Club, really. You know that, right?
You think so?
No, that's
but you know what I'm saying? Like I've done all these like that song like that shit, you know, like
you did all the annoying stuff.
Yeah, like Lumi D, right? Yeah, like all that stuff, like you knew, like
Lumi before.
Yeah, like you knew it was gonna be like something, you know?
Oh, yeah, crazy.
Yeah, crazy. But you hear, I heard that most of the leaks come from the mastering engineers. Sometimes. That's what I've heard. Is how much of that could be true?
It's zero is true, because you know why it's true, or it's not true, because our reputation stands on not letting something get leaked. Like since we're the last to have it, so there's no, right now especially for me, there's no money that anybody could pay me for a song that would be worth my career.
Yeah,
nothing. Nothing. Like back in the day, people used to say that, but like we actually have this wave analyzer now that we stamp everything that leaves here. It's something that we developed here at Sterling, and it's not like watermarking. It just tells you where the file came from.
Okay.
So whenever we deliver it, it gets stamped to whoever we deliver it to. So we can link back any file right now.
Wow.
Any file that we send out, we can link back and find out who leaked it or whatever. So, but that's the thing crazy. Is we're trying to protect. We're actually just got cleared here at Sterling for this digital like shield that you get for being a safe facility. Okay. You know, we have outside people come in and inspect our system, the way we operate, our day-to-day stuff, who comes in, who's walking around, who's doing everything. Like we're
getting a job here must be tough too.
It's very hard. We used to have interns. We don't allow interns anymore. You have to work here. You have to be checked out. You know, we just don't want anybody being able to get at any files. Everything that we have is tied together, but is also everything is, you know, coded to, you know, password protected to get in and out of.
Yeah.
And when somebody does something, we know we have our, you know, our IT guy has
where it come from,
who did what, who sent where. Everything's marked. Everything that comes to and from us comes through our server, so it's all, you know, checked CIA out.
In here.
It is. But you know what it is, because today there's no more physical manufacturing.
Yeah.
So back in the day, you know, you made a CD, it went out, it got leaked, and, you know, and then all of a sudden in Argentina they were pressing your fucking album, you know, and all over the world, and you weren't getting paid for it. But today it's a file, you know, or it's a couple files that you could copy and send out, you know. I mean, as far as leaks go, I don't think there's anybody who wants to leak anything like labels. Like back in the day, they used to leak singles to kind of get like some promotion going.
Yeah.
You know, people would totally, I would cut, you know, no label discs, you know, they'd be like, you know, put this new song on it, you know, whatever, you know, a new Nas record, cut this shit, put it out. They'd start playing it at clubs and people like, oh shit, that's Nas. And it wasn't a single, it was just like the rumble, you know, to get people to start talking about it. And then you drop the single right after that, you know, and they still kind of do stuff like that. It's what a mixtape is.
Yeah.
A mixtape is basically like a leak that gets people talking about an artist. Then he goes to the label and says, oh, yo, my mixtape sold 1 million copies. Okay, we'll sign you. You know, and they put the same shit out, just reproduced, a little cleaned up, you know.
Okay. I used to get so upset when I used to hear a mixtape and then get the album later and be like, wait, it's the same fucking songs from the mixtape. I never understood it, because I just got in, not really into it like in the early 2000, because I wasn't really.
But that's what it was. It was about like leaking something, so you get like, it was the best way to get promotion.
Yeah,
you know, back then.
I used to buy mixtapes every day after high school.
But now, you know what? Too, now everybody does SoundCloud and, you know, all those other things where you put your files out.
SoundCloud, Stitcher,
iTunes. Make sure to follow us.
Yeah. Well, it all ends up at iTunes.
Yeah, it all ends up at iTunes.
Yeah.
So why do you think it's so hard to be a mastering engineer?
Honestly, you have to have good ears. It's a weird thing. Like people in the business who know this call it like black magic, dark science. Looking behind the curtain. You don't want to see. It's like you don't want to see your stuff getting mastered or see what happens or whatever. But it's just it's a different type of person. An artist is a different type of person than a producer. A producer is a different type of person than a mixer. Everybody has their specialties. In this business, and for me, like since I love sound so much, I think mastering is the perfect place for me.
Nice. So can you just give insight for the people, for the up and comers listening? Like, what's one piece of hardware or plugin that a producer and engineer could get just to make their sound just clearer? The room. It starts with the room.
It starts with the room, but most importantly, and I just told somebody this the other day, is mix with your ears, not with your eyes. Don't go by, what you're seeing on the internet is good or whatever. All the gear that you need is probably in front of you in every software. It's just learning how to use a chain properly. Whatever you get, if you use it properly, it'll sound good. Obviously, they make better. This console that you have right here is not as good as a full-blown Neve console or SSL, and they're probably $1 million apart in price, but you can still basically do the same thing with that if you learn how to use a piece of gear.
Well, the pre's are way better.
That's what I'm saying. Really good mics, really good pre's, really good consoles, really good studios, any kind of good software, software that people actually use. Everything is hype in sales. So when you look at stuff online and read stuff, everybody's trying to sell their stuff. So nobody's going to say, well, this new compressor plugin sucks, but, check it out anyway. So everybody hypes it. Everybody tries to get, like I talk about gear, I'm used in ads for gear and stuff like that. If I use it,
Yeah.
It's all particular to your ears too. Like there's nothing like I use, Prism converters and Burl converters because to me they sound good. I use, B&W speakers because to me they sound good. People ask me all the time, "Oh, you're an engineer. What's a good pair of speakers?" And I'm like, I don't know. You got to listen to them.
So preference, yeah.
What's a good pair of sneakers? What's a good pair of jeans? What's a good place to eat? It's all personal. So you got to find your tools and work with your tools, and that makes you who you are. And over time, tools change too. Like now we do a lot of stuff in the box. I still use a lot of, analog gear. I still use my analog EQ. I still use my console, but you find new equipment as time moves forward too.
Nice. What do you think sets you apart from other mastering engineers in the business?
I don't know. I think I've always thought since I was a kid, like I hear differently from everybody. Like honestly, like no bullshit. Like I really felt like when I listen to music, I hear it different. I hear it in a way that I've learned to affect it now and actually do something to it.
It's like seeing the fucking Matrix code.
It's hard to explain. Like I don't want to sound like some pompous guy, but you know what I'm saying? Like, the
proof is in the pudding.
That's what I'm saying. Like, like I said to somebody one time, like this was like a dream that I wanted to do this, that I want to work in a studio, and I am.
Yeah.
And I get to go to the Grammys now, and I get nominated. So I guess it's not bullshit. I guess I really worked that hard and realized what I wanted to do with my life and did it. So. Not to sound like an asshole, but like, live your dream, man. If you want to do something, live it because it's better than working.
Definitely.
You're never gonna be happy just working. Like
Never.
if you could do something that you love and like I love music and love doing this stuff, it just makes it better. It makes it easier.
Definitely. Got questions?
On the topic of like up and coming engineers, who are some other engineers that you see coming up that are really well and you appreciate right now?
There's this kid in Brooklyn, Jake Aaron. He works does a lot of alternative stuff.
Yeah.
He's really good. A guy that he works with is this other guy, Yale Wing Wang. He does live sound. He's a producer. He builds equipment. He's like amazing too. These guys send me stuff and I kind of just get blown away by it, I mean, right now I'm kind of on the spot thinking about like all these guys, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I'm constantly listening for, new guys. Because if you like send me a sick mix that like is amazing, I can mess with that. It makes my job easier too.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of guys out there that really try hard, and for some reason they just don't get to that, holy shit level. Like, oh my god, this shit sounds ridiculous. And that's a gift. And respect and credit to those guys who do that. Some of the big engineers that I work with, Serban and Manny and, all these big engineers, they're big engineers for a reason. They do something that, other people can't do as well, or they just do it that much better or whatever, however you want to sugarcoat it or say it. They do shit that sounds amazing.
Nice. Okay.
It's like sports. Like, you gotta be good to play the game, to be in the league.
It takes practice.
And it takes
they
practice.
Just cut that guy that was the first openly gay
football
player.
Oh yeah, he was trash though.
He was.
I thought he was really good though. I thought they were
all
talking
press, and he was
cut
trash.
it.
Yeah,
The coach cut him.
yeah.
Damn.
Wasn't good for the team.
You don't have any more questions, Graham?
No, I'm just looking around, just mesmerized.
So all right, I have like 3 more. Okay, can you tell us what you're working on right now?
Jeremiah. I'm just doing Jeremiah. I always mess up that. I'm trying to think what else I'm doing. I don't know. I do so much international stuff. It just like, Colby Calais. I just did an album for her. I guess I could look up some stuff and tell you what I've been working on.
All right, what do you think is missing from music itself nowadays?
I don't know. Like it's not like you have to be a songwriter or producer. You can still be an artist. You can still be a singer. I think that EDM is cool and it's coming strong and it's there's a total place for it. I love it, but I still like I miss bands because when you go like I went to Coachella this year and the EDM stuff totally kicked ass. Every time I found myself like, oh my god, this shit is crazy. I was in an EDM tent.
Wow.
And the shows are amazing, like lights, special effects, the music, everything's timed perfect. It's really a full event. As far as like people performing live though, I think like it's just so hard like to find real artists that can like sing on stage and play an instrument and like bands who can actually go out and really play.
It's like slowly becoming like an ancient craft.
Because it's so easy to do like amazing stuff in the studio, like do stuff that you can't really do live.
Yeah.
And I think everybody is just so accustomed to hearing perfect music, perfect vocals, perfect pitch, everything's tuned, everything's perfect.
Well,
everything's timed, and like the performance stuff where it's like live or whatever, nothing's perfectly timed. It kind of has like this flow.
Yeah.
And
it's everything is tied in. So like all the new technology, the phones and everything like that. So everybody's in a digital space. So I think everybody is just thinking on a digital level, and they don't want to go back to rural, like hurting their fingers from the guitar and things like that.
Yeah, you know what's messed up about the whole digital thing? And I just saw this commercial last night, and I was just like, man, we are so digitized now. Is this new electric cigarette where they're like, it's digital, it's perfect every time, perfect inhale, perfect whatever. And I was like, maybe I want to smoke an electric cigarette. It's perfect. It's digital. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how they were marketing it, as it's perfect. Yeah. It's exact. It's digital. And I was like, man, you can't. Everything is digital now.
Are you smoking a cigarette at that point, or are you just like.
Dude, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
the commercial made him want to smoke.
It's digital. It's digital.
He just want to try it.
It's perfect.
Try the digital cigarette.
That's what they kept saying. It's perfect. And I was like, it's perfect.
That's crazy. Len, you have anything else?
I'm good, honestly.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
I'm looking at these plaques over here. I see you got a stack over there.
Yeah, I got a stack. There's like 10 over there.
That's amazing.
You need some frames.
Yeah, you're running out of Grammy space.
Yeah, the last couple of years I've been really fortunate. I haven't won the big one at the Grammys, but just getting nominated 3 years in a row for record or album of the year is it's fun. It's fun, being down there on the floor, walking the red carpet. It's nice.
You bring the family?
No, it's when I go, it's kind of like business.
Yeah.
Like it's the perfect chance to to do business. Everybody who's in the business is in one place.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So it's like, my kids are young. I mean, 19, 16, and 13, and that's not that, they're not that young that I can't bring them, but there's just so much stuff going on out there and like moving around and doing stuff, and it's not really like it's not really like a kid thing. It's like really a business thing, and that's the one time a year that I actually go out to the West Coast and just do business. You just run into so many people that you just talk to by email or on the phone, or they're just in all different parts of the world and the country that you never get to see them, and here they are, and it's celebration of good music and the music business. So
I have a question.
My kids are coming at some point. They keep bugging me, so I got to win one first, I think, and then I'll be like, whatever. The big one, at least.
So, I have to ask, YG's album.
Yeah.
You're probably going to get a Grammy for that, for me. I think. A hip-hop Grammy. That album is amazing. What did you feel when you first heard this? Because this is like new. This is new music.
Mustard right now is like,
yeah.
And Jeremiah, like that's the new one. Mustard's album is big, it's a good album. It was a good album. It was like a blizzard that day when I mastered it too. It was like total, the day that I mastered it was like total snowstorm, ice, rain, all that shit coming in, and yeah. But it's a good album. I like it. I think
it's the only like really great hip hop album of this year.
Of this year, could be. Well, it's a lot, as far as what I've seen and what I've heard, radio wise. I mean, I think YG is the only album this year. But 10 Summers just came out, so we'll see what Mustard does there, and then this album coming out.
I'll give it to YG.
YG, man. That album is incredible. So that's it?
Yeah.
Yep.
So you have a Grammy with Take Care. How's that?
This is Chris.
Chris.
He might go back to intern because he doesn't pick up the mic.
I have a question. I see you have a Take Care Grammy. How did you know that was gonna blow up like that?
I love Drake's stuff. I didn't do his latest album, but I did the first two.
Mm-hmm.
I love those albums.
Yeah.
Like for me, that's the first album that's one of the best albums I've worked on in a long time. End to end, like I like every song on there. That track Fireworks for me is that's another one with the fireworks going off. It's like a sound feel, like that track gets me.
I have a question with that. How like the level when 40 gives it to you and it's like filtered out, like he cuts the filter on the drums and things like that. Like how low are the levels on that? Like, do you have to bring that up a lot or?
40 gives me plenty. He used to give me plenty of room to like do stuff, like plenty of room to work and kind of get creative and develop sound. That's the thing, when you print too loud, you can't really develop the frequencies as much as there's just not room for it.
Right.
When it's loud. When you have like normal level, I can bring up frequencies. Sometimes I have to bring stuff up 6 dB, something like that, where you have to have room to do that.
Wow.
But that gives you the depth and the big sound.
Was Headlines on Take Care?
Yeah.
That record is the way he mixed it is kind of terrible. Like, it sounds weird. Like, I don't know if you remember or anything.
Yeah,
but
he was pretty much mixing everything in here, coming in here with a flash drive, hand me the stuff, I'd master it, and then go back.
Yeah, because I heard that record was like he had to change a lot to master. Like, he had to bring it down a little bit.
Yeah, I don't remember the specifics, but I remember that's being a great album, and definitely one of the ones that career wise I personally like end to end.
Cool. That's it. Everybody good, right?
Yeah. Sure.
This might be the last time we ever see Chris. It's like, get these guys out of here.
No, I'm gonna play guys some music.
Cool. All right, guys. It's D4Melodies, D4Melodies.com. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you
for allowing us.
Are you on Twitter, Instagram?
I'm on Instagram, Chris Gehringer, and I'm on Twitter, Chris Gehringer.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's probably only the Chris Gehringer. So
there's a couple guys pose, you know. I don't really have that problem where I have to say I'm the real official. The official.
Yeah. Speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
It's SteveO'Malley's.com. See you guys later.